Well, it's the 2nd of May. Bank holiday was a complete washout. Well, it was down here in the south, rained all the wretched time, and I'm sick to death already of electioneering. So I think it's time for another one of my in practice updates. Well, here we are in May 17, and what are the big issues? Well, obviously, we've got an election coming up. Not sure anyone is particularly looking forward to that, which probably means we're going to get loads more finance bills. But anyway, we've got an election coming up. I suppose the only good side is HMRC have gone into purdah for what seems like an inordinate length of time, but that's another issue again, isn't it? Apart from the election, the big issue was the fact that the government didn't push through the Making Tax Digital agenda in the finance bill. Lots been put out about it, people going, oh, it's finished, it's over, etc. This is the letter from the Minister responsible for Making Tax Digital to the Chair of the Economic Affairs Finance Bill Subcommittee. The Minister responsible, of course, is Jane Ellison, and this is what she actually said in a letter to, say, the Chair of the Economic Affairs Finance Bill Subcommittee. You will be aware that following the Prime Minister's announcement of the forthcoming general election, I confirmed yesterday in the House of Commons that while the government remained committed to the digital future of the tax system, we recognise the need for Parliament to consider such measures properly. This is why the government has decided to pursue Making Tax Digital measures in a finance bill in the next Parliament, in the light of the pressures on time that currently apply. So that's what she said. It seems fairly plain to me. This is just a pure deferment. And I repeat, this is the bit that's important. This is why the government has decided to pursue Making Tax Digital measures in a finance bill in the next Parliament. So I suppose you're down to a couple of options, aren't you? If this particular government win the election and get in with a reasonable sized majority, I would anticipate they'll push this through straight away in the next finance bill and get it moving fast. If they lose, I think we will still have a digital agenda. However, we may get more exceptions, we may get a bit more time. And if it's a bit of a hung parliament or there's some constraints, I think they will try and push it through, but again, with a bit more exemptions. The fact is, calls for the death of Making Tax Digital, I think, are a little bit premature. Well, as I said earlier on, this bank holiday was a bit of a washout down here in the south. So what do you do when it's chucking down with rain and there's not a lot on the telly? Well, you get a book out, don't you? And the book I got out was, would you believe it, The Buy-to-Let Property Tax Handbook by Mark McLaughlin and the team at Bloomsbury Press. There it is. Damn good book. I think it's going to be a big seller for Bloomsbury and the team. We all know there's been a huge number of changes to the taxation of rental properties, and they're not easy. So that book's a real great big help. So I think that's a good book for everybody to get. But what intrigued me about it, one of the things that I was interested in was reading it and going through it and then thinking about Making Tax Digital and how all our landlords are going to have to start recording their rental incomes, blah, 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 etc., etc. And one of the things, of course, HMRC or cash accounting, it's the future, make life easy. Yes, it is. But according to the cash accounting documents regarding rental incomes, it's cash accounting, but not as you and I would know it. They're saying if you have an agent acting and a significant number of landlords do indeed have agents acting on their behalf, the dates the transactions have to be recorded for Making Tax Digital is not the dates that the net amount, as it were, is ultimately returned to the landlord via the agent, but actually the dates that the agent makes the payments out and receives the money in, which really isn't cash accounting as I know it. And he's going to put an immense strain on a lot of landlords because we're going to probably be dependent totally on agents to provide us with this information. And I'm not so sure that the agents are going to be able to provide this information quickly enough. So it's going to be interesting going forward, isn't it? A while ago, I put out a webinar regarding Making Tax Digital, and in there I explained how I perceived and could see how an app would help for our real basic clients, the ones that HMRC, in my opinion, disparagingly calls straightforward, because you and I know when you think a client's straightforward, you've got to be very careful because it suddenly comes up and bites your leg, doesn't it? But basically our smallest clients, not VAT registered, not employers, non-corporate, our smallest clients, how are they going to handle it? We don't have to teach them bookkeeping, do we? We could use our cloud-based accounting systems for them, but it's a bit of a sledgehammer to crack a nut. And I was explaining how I can see that apps could actually deliver for accountants everything that their clients would need to keep compliant, and also give us the power to completely retain them as our client and take control of the affairs, so that when the information is sent to the revenue, we are in control, we send it, etc., and therefore we remain as in the forefront of our clients' minds as their accountant. At the time, I said I was working with the firm at My Firm's App to try and help make their app that they're producing as accountant friendly as no doubt they wished it to be user friendly. We've done a lot of work so far, and the team now are working really hard. Now, as I say, it's in May 2017. They've announced that they're going to have it, and I think they're calling it My Firm's App Collect. It's going to be available by the second quarter of this year, so it's literally any month now. We're in May. Accountex is coming up in a couple of weeks. So if you haven't got a ticket, please get a ticket. I'll be there. My Firm's App are there. You can actually put your questions to them direct or talk to me and see how they're explaining how their app system is going to work for you as accountants. For me, we all want making tax digital to work, because we don't really want to get into a situation where we're sending paper forms here, there and everywhere. We want it to be as digital as possible, but we want it to work well, and we want it to work right. I think the app, and I think all my colleagues, all accountants everywhere, will make digital work, even though HMRC at the moment aren't exactly making the best fist of it. If HMRC can get their act together and can produce us a platform and a system that is halfway as reasonable, I believe that accountants will make it work, just like we did with RTI, for which we get scant thanks or congratulations from HMRC. We will make this work. The biggest thing about this whole Making Tax Digital thing for me is it gives us a massive opportunity to put an end to this nonsense December, January hiatus, where we're scrabbling around over myriad ways of clients keeping books and records. We can, with the use of app and with the cloud, make it far less fraught and get our clients compliant and up to date. All we need now, really, all the software's coming together. We as accountants, we're getting our acts together, we're getting our clients informed. I'm just hoping that HMRC are doing the same.